Good evening, and welcome to our last At Home with Andrew for the summer. As we're cooking, as I'm not really cooking at all, but as Andrew's cooking something a little with a little bit more heft tonight, thought we'd lead in with a little music that had a little more heft. So I'm going to be taking myself out of the picture pretty much right away, turning things over to Chef Andrew. He's got a lot of things covered tonight. And just wanted to remind anyone who's watching along, if you have any questions, if you have any tips about cooking with the fire pit, just put them into the comment section on either Facebook or the YouTube channel, and we'll get to them in the program when the time is right. So, without further ado, Chef Andrew.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming and tuning in for another At Home with Andrew. This is, always a lot of fun to come out and be able to share some cooking, some tips, tricks, and really just get to hang out with like-minded people that really enjoy food, enjoy good drinks, and sharing, what little bit of knowledge I have in this world that's about food.
Do you have any like-minded people there with you this evening?
So we very much do have a few. As I have it, moving my finger out of the way here. As I've said many times, food is just as much about the people you have around you and the good times you have. And if you're just eating food to eat food, then it's not really a meal. It's just food at that point. And we're here to learn about how to make a good meal as opposed to good food. And I think that's something very important. So we have our friend and local sommelier Eric there, who will be talking wine a little bit with us tonight. He went and selected kind of a pre-drink or a while cooking beverage, if you will. If anyone remembers from the first At Home with Andrew that he was here a part of, he said, basically, if you're not sure what to do, bring champagne. And as it's kind of a warm and muggy day, we figured champagne was a perfect choice for a nice chilled drink. And then he also picked out a nice wine to go with the meal that we'll talk about. Also along with us here is our friend Josh. Some of you may know from Lilith's Locks off 10th Street there. So if anyone's looking for a new place to get some amazing hair like the rest of us, we recommend there. But the first thing we want to do as we are, going to be here hanging out is we really want to go ahead and pop off tonight with a little bit of champagne. Third time's a charm. Fourth
time's a charm.
Nope, ain't gonna go. All right, well, we're doing the good one as a practice round.
I saw the practice round. It looked great.
The practice round looked great. This time, not so much. So, we do have some good champagne here to sip on as we cook, as I said, on this hot, kind of muggy day. Eric, if you'd like to shoot on over and kind of talk about champagne, or maybe show the unopenable bottle off and kind of talk about it a little bit. If you want to do that, I'm going to kind of in the background cut over here and kind of show some of the fire and stoke it and get it ready if you want to talk about champagne. There it goes. Hey, it's open. Yeah, sure did. All right. So yeah, we are drinking a little champagne. Oh, where's the camera? There we go.
There you go.
There we go. Heck yeah. Awesome. So yeah, we're just gonna drink some bubbles here while Dunbar's here stoking the fire and whatnot. Like I said in the last video, like champagne goes with everything. So even if you're not eating food, at least you got something to sip on while you're waiting. Let me grab my glass here.
What champagne do we have going?
We got a good one here. So I don't know how to pronounce the producer's name.
I got this from Waterford up in Green Bay here. Oops. Set this right here. That's
Which we found out that the owner, was it, of Waterford Wine up there, happens to know the director of the library there, Tim. So,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, not the owner, but one of the people that works
What are
there.
the employees? Okay.
New Karen.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, right.
So, what can you tell us about the champagne you're drinking, Eric, except that it's appropriate for champagne rinses, I would imagine?
Yes, very much so, Tim. So this one's a blend of, like most champagnes, it's a blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and a little Pinot Meunier. Usually when you find champagne, if it's a Blanc de Blanc, it's usually mostly Chardonnay, and then the Blanc de Noir is mostly Pinot. So this one's a Blanc de Blanc, mostly Chardonnay, I believe. It sure is. Yeah, and the disgorgement's 2021, so it's a pretty fresh style of champagne.
Perfect for a muggy evening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring over here and kind of show the steaks we're going to be working with tonight. You guys can see those just fine. I'm a little off camera, so you can kind of judge me as I'm going.
You're good.
All right, so we have two different cuts here. I know originally I had talked about trying to do a tomahawk style steak. Just couldn't find one in the area that I was super happy with in terms of size, weight, thickness. As you can see here, there's my finger compared to the size of the steak. You want a nice thick steak if you're going to be cooking something over the fire. And all the ones I found that were able to do that tomahawk cut, they were doing something that was even thinner than this one here, which is still a pretty decently thick steak. And that's one of the keys. If you're going to do this over this open fire, your steak needs to have enough thickness to it that if the outside, because this fire is way hotter than a skillet or an oven, as that outside cooks, you don't want the inside to cook just as fast. So you really want to make sure that you have that thick steak to, I don't know, almost protect the inside of the steak, if that makes sense. So to get these steaks ready to go on this fire, we're going to do a few things. And again, hopefully we can see this fire here well enough. Or somebody kind of poking and prodding at it earlier. As you can see, I really don't have a ton of flame going. It's a lot of coals, and coals are where your heat is going to be. So I'm not looking for, a 3-foot flame. I started this fire a few hours ago and really let it cook down so that we have this really nice glowing red coals underneath. And I've recently just kind of added these mostly unburnt logs that you're seeing. And that slight flame that's coming up is about all that I really want. I don't want to see a gigantic flame sitting there, coming all the way up, kissing the pan or anything like that. We're not going for a Burger King themed steak here. We're not looking for, flame touched or flame broiled. So nice low flames, really, really red hot coals. You shouldn't really be able to put your hand within 4 foot of those coals without it getting very, very warm, very, very quick. So thanks to Josh here, he brought over his pair of welding gloves that we're going to be using when handling any of this cast iron or any of this tonight, as well as this tripod and grate for us here. We're going to go ahead and lower that.
Andrew, when you move towards the fire, your mic is cutting out.
Okay, thank you. I can turn my mic here. I got an omnidirectional. I just forgot to turn it around. Is that a little better?
Definitely.
All right. So we're going to lower this grate here with these cast iron pans on top of it. We've just had those sitting over the fire most of the day, getting warm right as I was kind of bringing it up all the way up from those kindlings. That way the oil that is on them already from previous seasonings, or I think we cooked some steaks this way on Monday, is still on there. They're, seasoned. It's carrying a little bit of that flavor from time to time with it. Your cast iron should never really be dirty. but at the same time, it's not just going to be super clean, crispy metal like you would expect from a stainless steel or an aluminum pan. So let's talk about getting these steaks ready. So I have a high temperature oil here at the very, very lowest, regular olive oil, but not an extra virgin. If you're doing this, you want to get A, it's a little bit cheaper, but B, it has a higher smoke point. And smoke point is what's going to cause that that steak to get a little acrid, kind of taste burnt sort of a thing. So we're going to try to prevent that. On top of just a little bit of oil, we're going to hit it with a pretty decent seasoning of salt. These steaks were sitting out for, I don't know, about an hour, maybe hour and a half at room temp to get them all to the same temperature, right? If you have a steak that's coming right out of the fridge, you slap it on these hot pans like this, the outside is going to cook super, super quick, and the inside of it is going to be still really cold, refrigerator cold, as you know, meat's actually a pretty good insulator of heat and cold. So then what you end up with is, even this thick of a steak, you're going to end up with it cooked almost all the way, and then a very little strip in the very middle that's completely raw. And some people will be like, well, that's good medium rare. Well, that's not. Medium rare should have a warm or a cool red center, not a raw red center. And then when you see that, typically you just didn't let your steaks sit and come up to temperature. So I would say these steaks are sitting at about 55, 60 degrees. So I'm going to come over here so I can get on the camera a little easier. We have two different ones. We have our T-bone right here, and we have our ribeye. Going to be doing them both on here. I'm going to see, actually, if we can one of you grab that microphone? It's not on a super long cord, and just try to hold it a little closer to the fire over here. I want to see if we can hear the sizzle as we do this.
Andrew, before you put the steaks on, unfortunately, the fire cam has frozen.
Okay.
Just, I don't know if you can jostle anything.
Yeah, give me 1 second here to...
Because I don't want to miss the steaks going on.
Absolutely. Move a few things around here. I think when I moved on top in front of it, I think that's what.
Okay, it's kind of it's stopping and starting. It currently has frozen again.
Oh, okay. Give us 1 second. I think it was just the movement around it was kind of causing it.
Okay.
It
is still currently frozen.
All right, give me 1 more second here. We can't.
The other camera looks great. I mean, the other people. There we go. Now, the not fire cam, I can see all the movement. Okay, that's switching over there. I'm going to switch it out. Just so you know, your microphones went away. I didn't even know you had a side fire going.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's real hot.
Side fire, we'll get to that here in a bit.
Okay, cool.
All right, so we are going to do this. I'm actually going to pause one mic and try the other because I can get it close.
Okay.
All right, can you hear me still okay?
Definitely.
You want to bring the steaks over? Yeah, you want to film that and that. All right, so whenever you're putting these down, watch. That's really warm fire. Sorry. We're gonna try to listen for the sizzle. So.
Oh yeah.
That's the money shot. All right.
just so you know, the other cam is now going.
Perfect. Naturally. That's right where it goes.
No expenses were spared with technology.
All right. So let's go ahead and shift our mics and all that back around.
The mics are completely gone, just so you know. But the picture of the steaks and cooking is beautiful.
All right. How about now? Do we have some decent microphone or decent mics?
I can hear you, but the other camera now is gone.
Yep, working on that currently.
Okay, gotcha.
I went to start it and it exited.
Too much champagne.
Yeah, a little too much champagne to start.
So there we go.
Rock on.
Perfect. All right. All right, so along with our steaks that we have there, we have a couple other sides here that I actually pulled right out of my garden, and I'm going to attempt to get this camera to look at it without messing up the view too much. But right there is my garden. So we're about 20, maybe 25 feet away from my garden. 26 according to Eric, and he does know as he watches NASCAR.
Yeah, well, he can tell feet. I mean, it's well known.
So we have that second cast iron pan. So we have some tomatoes we pulled out, store-bought mushrooms. My garden doesn't have too many mushrooms. Couple jalapenos from my garden. A few more of these tomatoes here. And then also right on these grates, we're gonna grab a couple of these zucchini from my garden. There's our small, and then my garden's just been absolutely
My goodness.
with these monster zucchinis all since late July. So we're gonna try to find space for it.
Is there room anywhere for a zucchini that big? Thank you.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's not even the biggest one we've pulled out. I pulled one the other day that was real close to 6 pounds.
Well, that is a lot of zucchini. Now, for the zucchini you put on there, anything besides the actual zucchini? And is it like got olive oil or anything on it?
Nope, there is nothing right. Well, there's nothing for now. I am going to go into this pan here where the mushrooms, jalapenos, and tomatoes are. And hit those guys. A little bit of that olive oil. You can hit the zucchini with it. The idea with cooking them raw like this, right over top. Oh yeah. Is basically the inside is gonna kind of steam its way. The ones we did the other day, you can actually start to see the some of the liquid from inside of the zucchini starting to leak out from it because it's actually steaming inside of that skin. So the idea is it's going to cook the inside of that zucchini a little faster with a good unbroken skin like that.
Now, with the misto, did you hit the tomatoes and mushrooms and jalapenos, or was that just is that also nothing on it, just in the pan?
Yep, nope. I hit it with the misto here. It's anybody who doesn't have one of these, I highly recommend it. I think you can get them on Amazon for under $10.
Yeah.
Basically, you fill it with whatever oil you want, whatever one you guys prefer. Like I said, I like using just regular olive oil for a lot of my actual sauteing and cooking, not extra virgin. Yeah, and then you just take the top. It comes off.
Hold on 1 second. Let me switch cans just for a second. I'll go back
Perfect.
to the
There you
fire,
go.
but
Yeah, and you're just gonna pump it up a little, and it's just gonna push some air into that container right there, and then I don't know if you can see it, but it just kind of shoots the olive oil out.
Eric probably needed a little lubing.
Trying to tan his red skin, you know.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah. He gets too close to olive oil and he starts to burn.
Just automatically?
Yeah, just automatic, just the sight of it. So while we're doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and just occasionally move these veggies around here.
Clockwise or counterclockwise?
Counterclockwise always. The zucchini obviously is gonna take a chunk of time, which is fine because after we cook these steaks, we're gonna want to let them rest. And so with that sear and that type of hot cast iron we have there, I don't know how well you can see that piece right there. But there's almost a perfect sear on that ribeye that we have right there, that thinner ribeye. Once I find this pan. We'll load that on there and show. Just a really, really nice sear came off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that down. It's significantly thinner than that T-bone is right there. It won't take too much longer, but that's fine because we're gonna want to let them sit and rest for a decent amount, anyways. And as we're kind of cooking this over, I thought now would be a good time. Eric, you want to kind of talk about the wine you brought for us to pair tonight with the meal?
Yeah, sure. Before that, so when do you know when to flip the steaks?
Oh, that's a good question. So with the ribeye, really your first flip, I like to cook mine 60-40. So I want to cook it 60% of the way through on one side and then 40% on the other, as you're heating the whole steak as you have it down. So your second sear side is going to go a lot faster. A good rule of thumb over this hot of a fire is about 5 minutes per inch thickness of your steak. And that ribeye is about 3/4. So about 4 minutes is how long it was down. So yeah, good question. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and have a seat right here, break over this bottle of that you brought and let us know what you got. If you want to shift cameras over here, Tim, Eric will.
Well, when you have someone as photogenic as Eric, you want to get that camera on him right away.
On the small camera, but I figure we should give him his time.
Yeah, definitely. And that olive oil is really working for you. So what did you choose for the steaks?
All right, so we're doing a more marbleized steak, a little more fat content. So I went with something with a little bit more tannin here. So I went with a Syrah here. This one is from Sonoma Coast. It's the Arnold Roberts Syrah from the Sonoma Coast. So this is a blend of a couple different vineyards. This is the K Vineyard, Clary Ranch. It's a 2021 vintage here. Pop this open real quick here.
Did you also pick that up in Green Bay?
Correct. Yep. Also from Waterford here, which you can get locally. Well, within a 30-minute drive of Manitowoc here. So when looking for pairings for this steak here, so if there's any white wine drinkers that aren't into red wine, some fun combinations you can go for are aged Riesling, a dry aged Riesling, or a oaky Chardonnay is another fun pairing to do with this steak. But I chose something with a little bit more tannic structure here. Reason being is the fat binds with the tannins in the wine, and it won't be as astringent than drinking the wine by itself here. Pull this out. So a little bit about the wine. Arnold Roberts is one of my favorite wineries out of California. This is a whole cluster Syrah, which means that they ferment the grapes with the stems on them. And that can give it a little more structure and tannin. Debating on when they pick it, like if the grapes are a little underripe, you'll get more of these green characteristics. So you get more like herby, almost vegetal notes. And if the stems are a little more lignified, so like a little more woody, you'll get these really pretty like violet, forest floor, black tea kind of notes, which I believe this one has. So I'm super excited to try it.
What do you mean by forest floor? I'll show my ignorance. What do you mean by that exactly?
Yeah, just like I don't, like in fall time, if you ever went through like the forest or like just the dried leaves kind of smell that you get.
Okay.
So basically an earthiness to the wine, which
Okay.
is really good with the steaks that we prepared tonight.
Cool.
It's just me and you, Tim.
Well, I'm glad we get to spend time together because, we've both been kind of busy, so we haven't been able to hang out as much. Lift the wine again because it was off camera, so
I'm so sorry.
get to. Oh, I mean the glass, actually.
Oh yeah, the glass.
In the glass.
So this is a super young Syrah, so you get this really dark purple-looking color.
Well, and you can really the camera is really picking up on how it's clinging to the glass.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so pretty. We should be drinking this, Tim.
Well, I wish I could be too, but hey, I'm still at the library, so that is not a possibility. But describe it to me. Make me jealous. Make me mad that I'm at work.
This is super young Syrah, so it's very fruity. You get the red, blue, purple fruits here. But my favorite thing about Syrah, especially in these young Syrahs, you'll get this black pepper note, which was really good with the steaks because most people would season their steak with just salt and pepper. That's actually a chemical compound found in Syrah called rotundin, I believe it's called, and it's also found in peppercorn, which is why, like, if you ever heard people describe wine or something like, oh, I get notes of black pepper, with Syrah, there's actually some chemistry behind why you get that black pepper kind of aroma. Yeah, it smells really pretty.
Well, I mean, it's all chemistry, right? I mean, like the notes.
Correct, yeah.
There's nothing ever added like to the wine, like when people say it has notes of, I don't know, apricot or something like that. It's from a chemical reaction in the fermenting process, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's those flavor compounds that are found in everyday food that you would normally eat.
Okay. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's a happy dance.
I like that your recruitment, your job here is to sit, explain wine, but primarily to enjoy wine.
Correct, which is what it's all about. Like,
yeah.
Food and wine is all just about enjoying with the people you got around you, like this guy.
And he's gone again.
So, as we're getting real close on these steaks here to being done, I'm actually going to pull that ribeye off probably right about now.
Eric, I'm going to switch away from you, Eric. Don't be offended.
Got it, Tim. We're going to go ahead and lower it a little bit just to increase the heat on those vegetables as, we want those to start cooking. We're going to go ahead and pull that ribeye. Go ahead and show the other side of that sear right there. So, again, just that real nice full contact. And, yeah, we're going to let this sit. So what you want to do with any of your steaks after you kind of pull them off the fire, if you will, you want to give them that 5 to 10 minutes, kind of depending on where you're at, to rest. And what's going to happen when that steak sits is during the cooking process itself actually causes cell damage, right? So you have all those cells expanding throughout that whole muscle, right? It's all muscle tissue. So if you immediately start cutting it, you're going to rupture all those cell walls and you're going to lose any of that juice, any of that flavor inside the steak. So by sitting there and letting it cool down a little bit, we're not talking room temp, we're talking, losing 10 to 20 degrees. It's comfortably to eat, bring the temperature down. But those cells are going to shrink back up a little bit again, but they're going to maintain that moisture inside of them still. So that's how the difference between you cut your steak, take it to the table, and it's completely just dry, chewy, as opposed to a steak that even after you cut it into strips, you're cutting it into smaller chunks, and you still have moisture. You still have a nice juicy steak coming out. Is you let that cell wall shrink back up a little bit.
Oh,
We're
okay.
gonna let that ribeye shrink. I'm gonna move these zucchinis and kind of turn and rotate them a little bit, and then we'll talk about my second little side fire we got going over here.
Okay, cool. I'll switch back to the fire cam. And I would like to say that even though the other one says not fire cam, it definitely is fire when you're there.
Oh, thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
So see, we kind of move this zucchini down, and you can kind of see it there. I don't know if you're getting a good view of that, Tim.
For sure.
As I said, it's going to be kind of steaming, just a little bit of char on the outside of this, but not necessarily burnt. Luckily, it's a zucchini's got a nice thick skin on it. So,
and those
I'm sorry, what was that?
The welding gloves is such a smart move for like fire pit cooking because I know how hot it is, but you just reach in there like it's nothing. That's a smart move.
Yeah, those the welding gloves, just a pair of leather work gloves, anything like that, especially for me if you're out camping. We're here in my backyard now, but one of the reasons we kind of talked about doing this is, not this coming, but the weekend after is Labor Day. And I know a lot of people like to go camping. So you probably have a pair of leather work gloves in your camp gear, for splitting wood or picking up your campsite, connecting your RV, whatever it is. So, I mean, if you already have the gloves right there, why pack a, cute little doily instead of, pot holders that aren't going to make it through one camping trip?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a much smarter move. That's a great tip.
Yeah. So, Harbor Freight here in town now, you can get a set of welding gloves, probably $15-20 from them. They're going to last about 3 weeks in a factory if you're actually welding, but around a campfire, they'll last you for quite a while, especially if, keep them out of the moisture, keep them dry, take care of them. Yeah. So we're going to shift this camera here real fast. I'm going to try to do it without messing it up too much. As I said, not too much, but right away I immediately messed it up. More setting camera. There we go. That camera. So I also have my little solo stove here. And I don't know if you can really see any smoke from the other fire. But
a little bit.
Yeah, this is one of those smokeless fireplaces, though. I really, really like them as they heat up super fast. And the how well they keep contained makes it very, very easy for us to use, in the backyard. We want to throw something together really, really fast, real quick. I'm going to pull my other steak here real quick. It just heats up super fast. So I wanted to bring that over and just kind of talk about them for a minute. For anybody that has never used one or seen one, just know that, this is going to be so hot on my lap.
You okay?
Yeah.
As I laugh at you, as your legs burn.
So they heat up super fast, almost to a fault. And I mean that in terms of the control you have over the fire in those little metal fireplaces is significantly less than you have over the bigger fire like I have over there, right? It's like a triple walled metal container. So it is acting like a jet engine, if you will, right? All that heat, all that everything that's in there is just shooting straight up out of that like a funnel. So when you are using a smaller pit, maybe a metal one like that, a rim, like a steel rim type fireplace, you just really got to watch it because you have less fire temperature control than you will over the big one that has the grate and all that on it. So yeah, you just really want to watch your temperatures. Now, one amazing thing the little ones like that do is they I'm sorry, I'm gonna go stir my veggies as well while we're doing that talking. Is heat up very quick, like I was saying. Not only they heat up quick, but they get so hot to a point that if you're wanting to just roast some marshmallows or a hot dog or something like that over a fire, just kind of as, quick Wednesday night, having fun with the family, let's do a little thing. It's going to get up to temperature in, 10 minutes, and it burns that wood down to where there's almost no ash left. I mean, it really gets hot and burns fast. So they're great. I love them. I obviously have one sitting right next to my main fire pit, and sometimes it's just quicker, faster, and easier. But you got to watch that temperature control, as it's not as easy to maintain a low to medium cold temperature. And I know I say low to medium, and I mean that like the big one I have now where my coals are 1,000 degrees. That one over there probably hits 1,500 in the very center of it with all the logs in there. They get extremely hot. Ugh. So cover the wine. All right. So what time we got now, Tim? 6:30, 6:40. Beautiful.
Yep.
So at this point, we are letting the steak rest. We're finishing up our vegetables. So Tim, if you want to go ahead and talk to them some about what the library has going, I'm going to pull the steaks up and get us ready to take a look at them a little closer.
Okay, definitely. Before we do that, can I ask a question? Well, I guess it might get answered with the veggies, but when you pull the zucchinis that you've been doing, just as full zucchinis, are you going to? Well, I guess you will, but like, what is suggested prep for them? Just slice them up? Am I jumping ahead?
No. I mean, yes and no. I mean, we will show. But yeah, so after I cook them like this, I'm going to kind of do the same thing in terms of pull them off of the fire, let them rest for a little bit. And then, yeah, I'll basically just have them sitting on the cutting board where I'll have the steak. And fires like this, I'll kind of show the setup I like to do, because I like to treat it as a very, I don't want to say buffet style, but I'll have a cutting board out with the steaks and the veggies sitting on there, and you can kind of walk by with your plate, grab, cut off a chunk of that zucchini, cut off a chunk of meat, and kind of, fill the belly the way you want to fill your own belly.
Okay, beautiful. And in fact, I should have just stayed quiet because I did jump ahead. So, all right, you go do what you have to do. I'll talk about what's coming up at the library in the near future, and we'll be back with you in just a little bit.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. All right, everyone. So we are at there's one last look at the fire. We're at the prep stage. I'm not going to bother putting my picture up, but I'm going to talk about a couple things that we have coming up at the library in the next couple weeks. Just honestly, just two things. The first thing that I wanted to bring up, because since we're cooking outside tonight, and Andrew was talking about his garden and he showed it from far away, we have coming up on 3 separate Tuesdays, August 29th, which is next Tuesday, and then the 2 weeks following, September 5th, September 12th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., so 10 to noon, we have, with the Master Gardeners of Manitowoc County, we have plant clinics coming up. And what these plant clinics can do is, if you are having any issues with your garden, or problems or successes, or just you want to ask questions and just kind of, shoot the breeze with some people that are on top of their gardening game, show up at Manitowoc Public Library on Tuesday between 10 a.m. and noon. And they are located just about 15 feet to the right of the main service desk. So show up at the library with your questions about anything that's going on in your garden. And they also encourage you, if you're having any specific problems that you can take a picture of. Take a picture of it and bring it to them, and that way, when they're talking about it, they can address your specific problem. And they're great people, real easy to talk to. Just a fun thing that we have going on at the library the next 3 Tuesdays coming up. And since Andrew mentioned we're quickly approaching Labor Day and summer is kind of winding down a bit, just wanted to remind everyone that right now we are still closed on Sundays. However, the weekend after Memorial Day, the 10th of September, we are once again open on Sundays at Manitowoc Public Library from noon until 4 p.m. every Sunday, unless there's a major holiday, a federal holiday that falls on that Sunday, we will be open. So we're just a couple of weeks away from the library reopening our doors to the community on Sundays, since summer has wound its way down and people aren't, filling their lives with outdoor activities in our wonderful summertime. So the library, again, opening on Sunday, September 10th at noon. So we hope to see you there. And I'm going to switch back to our people background and bring everyone back into the picture. There's Andrew, and there's Andrew's knife. I can't hear you though, Andrew. Your microphone is not working.
It's working. I just
now it is.
Appropriately for no reason. So I didn't know if my mic cut whenever you sent me to the penalty box. So I turned it off.
Oh no! When I send you to the penalty box, I take the cameras and the mics out.
See. All right. I just didn't want you to, accidentally hear something Eric was saying.
He does have a sailor's mouth. He talks like a longshoreman. It's horrible.
While you were talking, and also I thought I didn't know about the Master Gardener thing. I think that's really, really interesting. Obviously, as someone who has the garden, as somebody who managed to take care of a horrible garden this year with almost zero experience with gardens, I think it'd be a really neat thing to definitely talk and bring up, because I got some tomatoes and I think the squirrels ran away with half. So I don't know if I need to take a picture to tell them about a squirrel. I'm sure they know what it is, but
I'm sure they know what a squirrel stealing tomatoes looks like. But yeah, it's super casual and they are so approachable, and it's just a real laid back situation. So just show up with your squirrel/tomato questions and you'll be good to go. I'm gonna not that you yourself aren't a beautiful piece of meat, but I'm gonna switch cameras to bring hello, good night, nurse. There we go.
Perfect. All right. So, this is that ribeye. This was that thinner piece that we cut kind of off camera. I quickly temped it, and when I first pulled it off the fire, it was sitting at about 130, which is a medium rare to medium. 125 to 130 is medium rare, so we're on the higher end of a medium rare. And then it climbed a little bit to about a 135, somewhere in that range. So, as I said, when I'm doing something like this, I like to just go ahead and kind of give it some loose cuts throughout the steak. That way, the people that, as you'll see, coming up and grabbing different pieces, can just kind of grab their own. So, sorry, I had to take care of some champagne there.
Well, you want to stay hydrated.
It's very true. It is very hot today. We got very lucky that we didn't pick yesterday to do this, though.
Oh, that would have been insane.
I'm not going to lie. We probably would have had to have canceled, because I think it was in the 90s. It's probably 30 degrees warmer just around these fires as is. So it would not have been.
The heat index was something like 113.
Yeah, it was quite miserable. So with this T-bone, as the name aptly applies, there is a bone that cuts here and here. So what I like to do when I'm trimming these is I'll take this first cut, kind of right here along this first bone until I get right up into there, and then cut it this way as well. Now, I'm not saying this is all or the only meat you're going to get off of this thing, but for a first cut, this is where I like to go. And once you have that, oh, there we go.
Oh, beautiful.
Most of that bone, obviously a little tissue here or there, is going to disconnect from it. Now, there's still some really good meat on there. Some people really like that gristly kind of bits that are, I'm going to try to lower this camera so you guys aren't only staring at my belly. There we go. So some people like those gristly bits that are a little closer to the bone. Some people want to stay a little farther from them. So there's still plenty of meat on this steak. But again, first cut. So then let's just cut right through the middle here so we can get a nice look at this middle of this steak. And I know with the lighting, it's a little off, but that is definitely right there in that medium range, which is where I like to throw my steaks when I'm doing them over a fire like this.
It's actually coming across really nicely, Andrew.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, I know sometimes trying to photograph a medium steak or a medium rare, or just due to cameras are trying to be fancier than they are sometimes, and they blur out the pink that's actually in there.
No, and you're at the camera you're using is actually picking up on the grain of the steak. It's really nice.
Excellent. So again, just like with that first steak, getting attacked by a little bit of a wind gust there, brought some ashes up. I'm just gonna take this thing here and pop it into a couple pieces. Again, as I said, I kind of temped all of these. This one came off right when I pulled it off. This one was sitting at about 127, and it probably carried over up to about 130 to 135, which is looking at that, like I said, that's on that bottom end of a medium steak is 135. Well done's 165, medium well 155, medium 145, and every 10 degrees basically you can carry your steak down to get those temperatures.
If I may interject, just because you were talking about the look of the steak, someone, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not, commented, his name is, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Ryan Morris. I'm not 100% sure, but Ryan Morris said it looks gorgeous.
Did you say Brian Boris?
I think the B might be silent. I'm just, but I think it's Brian Boris. That might be correct.
Okay.
He says the steak looks gorgeous.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate it. Yeah. And thanks for joining us today and supporting, the library stream and coming into the backyard and here with us. We do appreciate it. I'm sure anybody watching knows, from Brian's on York Courthouse Pub and all that. So, they cook a mean steak over there at Courthouse. So I'll take that as a large compliment. So thank you.
Thank you for watching, Ryan.
Yeah. So I'm going to do just a really, really quick shift again, just as where my frying pan with those veggies are. It's going to be a little hard to set them on the table, if you will. I don't want to melt through my table.
Wise
yeah,
choice.
Yeah. There was an incident with a Cajun boil and a melted table, and I think owe a Petra Morris a new camping table. It was a whole thing. So we're trying not to repeat that too much. So I'm actually maybe going to grab one of the gentlemen here. Also, we do have everyone's favorite Courthouse server, Eric Hankey, popping in as well.
Hi, Eric Hankey.
So I'm going to shift my camera here so that I can take us a little closer over here and inspect these veggies that are still sitting over here. Just to make it a little easier, like I said, instead of setting a 1,000-degree cast iron on the plastic table.
We're kind of losing you volume-wise speaking. The picture looks great.
All right, how's this?
Better, much better.
All right. Again, like I said, I got an omnidirectional mic, and I keep going to the back side of it. So, all right, so.
Those look gorgeous.
here are those tomatoes, right? They still have, they're not blistered. They're not really burnt or anything like that. But if you look, there are a few spots to where they are definitely cooking. Same with the mushrooms. This cast iron, the beauty of cooking on a cast iron is the heat is extremely even, right? It's very thick on the bottom. So even if, and we'll go on the bottom side here, and hopefully this translates, even if all the heat was hitting one single spot, it's actually going to disperse that heat very evenly across the cooking side of this. And that's the big difference between a thick bottomed pan and a thin bottomed pan whenever you're looking at them at the store, and you can just kind of physically feel the weight difference of the pans. That's what that's going to do for you, is it's going to really help you not burn stuff and make sure stuff cooks evenly, because like you know, as I show, I'm having a real hard time sitting right here next to this campfire. We're getting very Christmassy because some chestnuts are roasting. Yeah. As you look, though, there's
PG-13 show.
There's some color on these veggies, but nothing's burnt. And that's the beauty of these just solid, good old cast iron. And then we go over to the zucchini, which again was just kind of sitting there, and it's got that nice char on the outside. But really, if you go in, we're going to peel that away pretty easily. And you're just going to have this amazing zucchini kind of squash that's just very, very well cooked. So I'm going to shift this camera back one more time here. I'm facing me, not you, Eric.
Thank God.
And yeah, so for me, this is just a very quintessential fall open campfire meal. You know, a really good cut of steak, some good garden vegetables. Again, I'm going to try to not get too far from my Wi-Fi, you know, but over half this meal is coming from, you know, just a few feet that way. Some good steaks. Anybody looking for a good steak to purchase for this coming week? Right now, I highly recommend looking at Meijer. I believe that's where I got these two, just because they have porterhouse, T-bones, ribeyes for under $10 a pound right now. So if anyone's looking to do one this weekend, I highly recommend going to the Meijer here for that deal. Yeah, for me, this is fall into summer, fall campfires, good food, good friends.
Eric Hankey showing up uninvited.
Yeah, Hanky just you know, breaking the party, and
Of course.
Good times.
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and step over, talk for a few more minutes while I let everybody here go ahead and pull on up, grab yourself some veggies, and we'll close this out here in just a minute once everyone kind of gets plated and pair some wine. We'll let Eric talk one more minute here about the wine at the very end, as he's actually able to physically eat. But yeah, I'll step out of the way if you guys want to go ahead and grab yourself some food. So the last thing I was kind of wanting to cover today, before we again cut over to Eric, getting the steak and the veggies. I'll break that zucchini over once the cutting board clears off a little bit, so I can kind of show you what I meant with that one, Tim. Sorry. Probably that one. You probably can't hear me at all, can you?
Well,
Omnidirectional mic, and I went to the back side of it. How's
there
that?
we go. Better now. Better now. We could still hear you, but this is definitely better.
All right. So yeah, I'll get a little closer to it as well. And I'm gonna get one of these zucchinis off of the fire over here. So give me 1 second. Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Leave that so I don't roll off. Yeah, so we will, once everyone gets some steak on their plate, we'll pop the zucchini where the steak was, so we can get a little close-up of how I was going to be cutting that steak, like I had told you, so we can kind of cover that. But yeah, so the other thing I wanted to kind of cover tonight, very quickly, before we do this last bit, was the difference between the different steaks. I know there's a lot of I don't want to say confusion, but I guess a lot of people don't know that a porterhouse and a T-bone is 5% the same steak. Do you, Tim, know the difference between a porterhouse and a T-bone at all?
I do not.
No? All right, perfect.
Nope.
So I'm at least teaching one person out of all the ones that will listen to this. So if you look at a porterhouse and a T-bone, they are very, very similar in shape. The difference is, as you look at it, reversed camera here. One side of a porterhouse is a little bigger compared to a T-bone, where it's closer to that bone, right? So basically, the cut of a Eric about fell in the fire. Eric
Why didn't we have a third camera?
So basically, where the cut comes from on the primal, the big cut of meat they pull when they slaughter the cow, closer to the head of the cow, there's more tenderloin, which is a part of the porterhouse. If you want a tenderloin, a porterhouse has a tenderloin in it.
Huh?
The farther towards the tail of the, mirrored cameras mess with, closer to the tail of the cow, where the, and you can pull that up onto the cutting board if you need to, Josh, where the tenderloin tapers into a cone, you have your T-bones. There's less tenderloin on there. If you take that bone completely out and you just have that other side, essentially the piece that when you saw me remove that bone from that T-bone,
yeah,
that piece of meat is basically the part of the ribeye. It is not a ribeye. It is a similar shared piece of meat. So whenever they butcher a cow, one of the decisions that is made is how much do they want a tenderloin and T-bone, or do they want porterhouse and T-bones? Because if you're going to remove the back strap or the tenderloin, you cannot have a porterhouse. Or the left side of the cow is going to be done for one. Right side is they have two back muscles. But all those cuts are very, very similar, and all those names are mostly something that was put together by butchers and all that years and years ago to make a difference in the meat they're cutting or selling, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, cool.
So
good to know.
I'm gonna cut this back over to here. That way Eric can have a camera to talk about wine here in a minute. But we're gonna talk about this zucchini really fast. If you want to switch cameras for me here, Tim.
You betcha.
So again, whole zucchini. It is just sitting here. I moved it right over. Everyone saw it. Here's one of the jalapenos from that pan as well. And as you see, I cut into this zucchini. You just have this, and you can kind of see how easy it is to. Oh, my off cam, it's frozen up. Give me a minute here to catch up with my camera.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. You can see it's a very well cooked. It's soft but not mushy piece of zucchini.
And you just flipped it.
Sorry,
you flipped it once. You flipped it just one time.
Just that one time. Yep, just that one time, and lowered it closer to the heat to the end, which is why one side got a little darker than the other.
Sure.
But again, I like to cook most of my grilled food or food over the fire in that 60-40 method, to where I'm doing 60% of the cooking on one side, 40. I believe I talked about that when we did the skirt steak with the first At Home with Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this is the smaller end. So if you have someone that likes their food just a little more cooked, they like their stuff a little softer, then you have the neck or the smaller end. This is a average size zucchini, something you'd find in a grocery store. But as you get closer to the thicker end, as you can see, it's not quite as soft. It still has a little bit of a tooth. It has that al dente, as the Italians would say, which I believe that's a phrase you'll be hearing and talking about very, very soon. Is that correct?
That is correct. 3 weeks from today, actually.
3 weeks from today, Tim Morrow will be off into Italy. So, definitely give you some great food advice. I'm sure Eric can give you some good wines to look out for in Italy, or the types of varietal of wine, I guess, more than necessarily exactly it when you get closer. But so right there, with very, very little difference in cooking, you have two completely different textures on your zucchini. That would work for a lot of the food. You do that with a squash, any of those that are tapering like that, gives gives you that option, I guess, while you're cooking for a group of people like we are. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this back a little bit to where Eric, if you want to come over here and have a seat and talk about the wine a little, I'll sit next to you.
Andrew, one quick question from
absolutely.
Mr. Ryan Morris again. What temp, and this goes back to your meat temp, what temp is extra rare?
Extra rare? I believe the body temperature of a cow is 102.4. So I think extra rare is right there in that 102 with a living cow. Yeah.
All right. We are
yeah,
fountain of information.
Yeah, everyone can make their steak however they want it. I definitely would put it closer to that. I would stick to a 125-ish and above, just to make sure any of those.
Ryan's pretty hardcore, though.
That's very true. So I'm gonna make a plate real quick. Eric and me will take some bites and talk about wine for a minute, and we'll be finishing this here very, very soon.
All right. The sound of wine pouring.
Wine pour. That's all right. Did I miss out on my fork? I guess I'm using the big fork here, huh? Do it.
Don't fear the big fork.
Oh, thank you. I hope everyone, I don't know if anybody's seen or mostly appreciated. I know I'm on the backside of the camera again here, so I apologize.
You
are. How randomly, magically, and mysteriously cutting boards, forks, plates, spoons, all that type of stuff magically appear for me. That'd be my wonderful and amazing fiance, Autumn, who is definitely probably doing more work than I am to make the thing that I set up and told her we were doing at our house work. So say very much thank you very much to her for
yes,
making all
thank you.
this work very well. So I'm gonna turn this here. Let's get our microphone. So again, just a little let's do a little cruise over of my plate here since Eric's jumped onto his. Sorry, I got reverse camera here. Yeah, a little of those mushrooms, some of those tomatoes, a little bit of the steak, and a little bit of wine. So Eric, if you want to talk about the wine, how it's pairing with the food, and we'll kick back and forth a little here.
Yeah, so I'll start with the wine that we picked was a Syrah, which is a easy win because it's the chef's favorite,
absolute favorite grape varietal.
yeah. So you can't go wrong with that. I didn't mention like an oaky an oaky Chardonnay earlier, and that's the whole point of like experimenting with food and wine. Like a food and wine pairing that I really love that I found on accident was oaky Chardonnay with corn on the cob. So we don't have any of that here, but if you didn't have zucchini or tomatoes or whatever, or mushrooms, and you wanted to do it with corn on the cob, I really highly suggest like an oaky style Chardonnay, which I know Ryan Morris loves, with some corn on the cob, because with a little bit of butter, oh, it's so good.
Oh, well, hello. We have another visitor today, which again just is the amazing and best part of these great cookout things. Just all the friends and all that just start to show up and appear. So it's
what's better than one Eric?
Three
Erics.
Yeah,
Three Erics. That should be illegal.
So everyone knows here Eric with a K. We got Hanky, and we got the real Eric over there as well. Yeah. One Eric per person. I brought mine. Autumn brought hers. Josh brought his. So
you shouldn't have more Erics than you have other people. Like if there are 5 Erics, there should be 5 non-Erics. 1-to-1 Eric ratio. Okay, got it.
Ratio, but the other weird one is it's also a 1-to-1 dreadlock ratio. So that's the other thing we have right now. Yeah. Yeah, we got a 1-to-1, and Vanessa was here earlier with the adding that 4th one. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So as Eric here kind of explained, this type of wine is for me just an amazing wine for food. But also it's one that I can crack a bottle and just drink at the end of the night. I don't necessarily need food around it. And that's, what I think, as I've tried, as I've said many a times, a good wine, it will stand on its own, but when you pair it with the right food, it's something special. So shall we take a dip here and try a little food and wine?
Yeah.
Well, and as Andrew and his Eric are enjoying their meal, it's just like Andrew always says, if you're just cooking to eat, then you're just, then it's just sustenance, then you're just eating to survive. But good food, good wine, good friends, you're making memories. And that's what it's all about.
That's happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely,
Exactly.
this was such a great one to end the summer with because it really exemplifies everything you've been talking about, Andrew. It all brought it into focus in the last one. Even though I'm a little terrified at the number of Erics, I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I completely agree, and I'm glad that you were able to see that. As I said, for me, food is my life on so many different levels. From earlier this week doing this with some friends and hanging out to connecting, food, wine, to Eric coming up with his own little challenges he would like to do of, I want to feed 6 people for $50, a high-end meal. And we're, pounding out chicken thighs in his kitchen and doing roulades on a random Tuesday with no notice sort of a thing. For me, food is everything. So when I get to bring friends, family, and people into it, it's something extra special for me. So thank you very much for these last, this one and the last 2 at home with Andrews. Really appreciate it. Thank you to the Manitowoc Public Library for sponsoring this, hosting this, coming up with this. I can't wait to do some more and, really adventure on with this system.
It's been fantastic. Thank you, Andrew. Without you, you're right in the title. So obviously we couldn't have done it without you. And it is always it's so much fun working with you, and I always learn something and I love that, and it's just, I'm a little envious that, I'm on the second floor of the library and you're in your backyard, but someone's got to operate the camera, right? So someone's got to do the studio end of things. But no, it's been great. I've enjoyed absolutely every one of these this summer. Sorry, Eric Miller couldn't join us in the second one. Yes, you, Eric. But, for one thing, Ryan Morris, I believe, wouldn't let you have the night off. But not to throw Ryan under the bus. But no, it's just
I was sick. I threw the whole loop out last time. So
well, but it's just been so much fun, and I love doing stuff like this where you kind of don't know sometimes if the camera's always going to work. You got to rip and you got to run with it, and it's fun. And it's it is very pleasing to watch you guys enjoy your meal and the wine right now. I don't know if it's everyone's idea of great TV or great internet broadcasting, but it certainly is mine. So,
I'm definitely enjoying it. That's for 100% sure.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much, Eric. Thanks to all the Erics and everyone that's there right now for joining in on the fun. Definitely thank you to your fiance for allowing us to take over your kitchen for 3 nights this summer. It's been great, and I certainly hope that we can do more of these moving forward because they're a great time.
Absolutely.
And on that note, Eric, do you want to toast us out? Well,
Cheers, folks.
Cheers.
Have a great night, everyone. Bye from all of us. Have a great night.